Sound check. 1, 2, 3, 4. Good evening. My name is Hank Stevenson. I'm the co-founder of the Arizona Agenda, and I'll be the moderator for this evening's debate. The Citizens Clean Elections Commission is the sponsor of this event. As the state's voter education agency, Clean Elections is the official sponsor of Arizona debates. So voters have the opportunity to hear directly from the candidates, ask questions on the issues that matter most to them, and vote informed. All registered voters can vote in the general election, which will be held on November 5th. The voter registration deadline is October 7th, and early voting begins October 9th. Voters who are watching this debate live, you can submit a question at any time. Do that via email, debates@kc-a.com. You can text them in to 408-840-8350, or you can call them in 480-937-1253. We may not get to all audience questions, but we'll do our best. Okay, tonight we're hosting a Q&A with Daniel Valenzuela, a Democratic candidate for Maricopa County's Supervisor District 3. Republican candidate Kate Brophy-McGee declined to participate in tonight's event. And Daniel, so you know, we'll run through, give you a little bit of time to introduce yourself to the voters, and then we'll go into the questions. So why don't you take it away? Tell us who you are. Oh, you're muted. Always once. And
Can you hear me okay?
now we're sounding good. Go ahead.
All right. Well, Hank, thank you so much for being our host and Clean Elections. Thank you for this opportunity. I'm Daniel Valenzuela. I was born and raised right here in Phoenix, the youngest of six, raised primarily by a single mom. Wendy, my wife, and I are raising our children right here in North Central Phoenix. And I go back to my upbringing. My mom, really tough lady, raised six of us, and we had it rough. I attended 13 public schools in Phoenix. I lived in more places than that, but it was truly this community that made me the person I am today. My mom has taught me the value of hard work, that giving up is never an option. Hard problems must be solved, and service to others is paramount. I think of a time of when I was about 7 years old, when my mom was preparing dinner for all of us, and she collapsed on the kitchen floor, and those firefighters who came through the door, they saved her life that day, and they changed mine forever. Even as a second grader, I've seen that they were not picking and choosing who they served. They served everyone. They didn't ask what her name was, what her party affiliation was. You know, they didn't care how much money she had in the bank. They just went to work and they solved the problem, and it left a profound impact on me. It eventually led me to the fire service. I just retired as a firefighter after 20 years of service a few months ago. And I've served 2 terms on the Phoenix City Council, and now I'm excited for this opportunity to run for Maricopa County Supervisor for District 3 in my home state, my home county, Maricopa County. So I'd love to get to the questions whenever you are ready.
I have a question just about the opening statement. 13 schools. I did not know that about you. Which one was your favorite? And which was your least favorite? Let's put them on blast today.
Well, I'll go, I think of my favorite, and I have a lot of favorites. I mean, really, I think of Miss Sanders with Maxine Bush in the Roosevelt School District in South Phoenix, and Mrs. Cohen with Wilson Elementary. I have so many. I got to tell you, it was that long list of school teachers who always welcome the new kid. We have some amazing public schools and great public school teachers. I have a family of teachers, and I'm just, I'm definitely grateful for sure.
Cool. Well, I want to ask you a little bit about the district too. Tell me about District 3 before we started this forum where we're kind of chatting, and I thought you had some interesting points about kind of what the district means to you and what makes it unique.
Well, it's my home, and there's a lot of points that make it very unique. District 3, the rough boundaries, or the furthest points of the boundaries, are 67th Avenue to the west, to Scottsdale Road to the east, I-10 to the south, all the way up north to the Yavapai County line, so Black Canyon City. So 80% of the district overlaps with the city of Phoenix, a city that I know well, being a native Phoenician, and having a chance to serve the city of Phoenix as a city council member. But also that 20%, those areas north of Phoenix, really great areas, Cave Creek, New River, Anthem, Black Canyon City. Those are all areas that I served as a firefighter. I recently retired from the Daisy Mountain Fire Department. Very, very diverse district. A lot of great qualities everywhere. A lot of opportunities, and a lot of strengths, and of course, a lot of opportunities as well throughout the entire district. And I just, everywhere I go, I have some personal stories, and it really means a lot to me. And I'm working really hard for this responsibility throughout this election.
You talked about a lot of opportunities in the district, and I think that means challenges in a lot of senses. I wonder what to you are, the top issues that are on voters' minds that they want to elect somebody who can solve for them at the county level specifically.
Yeah, and that's a great question. And yes, I do call them opportunities. The kid who attended 13 public schools, you have to get your mind right. And my mom would not have it any other way, I'll tell you that. But so in this district, look, there are some challenges. My top priority has always been and will always be public safety. It's about keeping people safe. I've dedicated my life to keeping people safe. I mentioned that I served as a firefighter for 20 years, but also my time as a policymaker, as a Phoenix City Council member. When I first took office in 2012, think back, this city was still digging our way out of a recession. Our city had gone a couple of years without hiring a police officer. There was a public safety hiring freeze, if you can imagine that. And it didn't sit right with me. It didn't surprise anyone that the first responder on the city council would be taking the lead on that one. And we really fought our way through to hiring police officers. But the way we did it, it started with attracting our own federal dollars back home to Phoenix. And of course, working more officers into the general fund, hiring more police firefighters as well. And so it all starts with keeping people safe. It is a very large district, and it goes beyond just policing and fire. I mean, one of the votes I'm most proud of at the city council was the vote for to expand our anti-discrimination ordinance with the city of Phoenix. It's important that people are their genuine selves and they feel comfortable and confident. And we by nature are a very diverse community. It's important that we are also an inclusive community, and that's when we will see the best of our democracy as well. So that's where it starts. People also, I'm getting a lot of questions as I'm at the doors, and this is throughout the entire district. What the next version of our economy will be. Going back to 2012, you remember our economy was heavily based on tourism and real estate. Both really important industries in today that make up our economy as well. But it goes a little further than that. I led the City of Phoenix Economic Development subcommittee and really helped refocus on what it is today, the strategy, which is on attracting more healthcare and information technology and advanced manufacturing. Of course, along with tourism and real estate, but we have a really great opportunity now to take those next steps as a county and as a region. And we have some really, speaking of challenges and some opportunities that hit closer to home. We have a housing crisis. We have a fentanyl issue that is running rampant. There's a lot at stake here. Not to mention elections. I want to pause. I want to make sure that this is a Q&A. But look, our opportunities and our challenges, they really do go hand in hand here. And if you do nothing with them, then we go backward.
Well, and I like that you touch on your city council experience, because I wanted to ask a couple of questions about that. And one of them was, kind of what are you proud of accomplishing? And I think we went through that.
Mhm.
But the next one is, what was the hardest decision you had to make as a member of the city council? And more than just telling us about the decision, explain to us how you approach those decisions and the, multiple things that are weighing on your mind as you're going into those tough decisions, and really an insight into how you solve problems.
Look, especially when you think of city council and the way we should be looking at Maricopa County Board of Supervisors as well, governing is all about problem solving. It's hard work, especially local governing. You can't just kick the can down the road. You can't let the deficit continue to roll over to the next year and the next year. By law, you have to pass a budget when you are a member of a city council in this valley, in this state. Okay, and so those are hard decisions every year, especially when you want to expand senior centers and after school programs and fix roads and add roads. And of course, hire more police officers and so on. So those are really important questions that have to be answered. And again, we have no choice, but this is a mindset but to move forward here. Now, I want to answer your question. What I felt was, one of the things that I think of, one of the hardest decisions that I worked through. And I think of pension reform. Our pension debt was out of control with the city of Phoenix. Mayor at the time, Mayor Stanton, now Congressman, but the mayor asked if I would lead the effort on pension reform, and think about that for just a moment. And on one side you have labor groups who work really hard for every dime. And, they don't like the idea that anyone would come in and actually change the way a contract would be done. On the other hand, you had a lot of folks from the business community who may have wanted to scrap the whole system and do something different, which wasn't legal to begin with. But, so it took bringing everyone together, realizing that everyone around this table, whether they are part of a representative from a labor union or from the business community, this is our city. This is our community. We all care about the parks here. We all care about the roads, and we all want to feel safe and so on. And so it's about starting from a place where we can all agree, right? And then making some decisions. And in the end, we made a lot of really important decisions that saves the city of Phoenix more than $1 billion over the course of 2 decades. We are roughly halfway through that, those reforms or accumulating those savings. So we've done well, but it always starts with try to figure out what we have in common. We have more in common than we have in differences. And it's about putting that in practice and really, taking that first step, listening first, being, as my mom would remind me to do, be quick to listen and slow to speak. And it's one step at a time. And sometimes it's hard rock mining, but it's not abandoning your post. It's showing up to, have discussions never shy away from hard questions or making hard decisions. And, I'm very proud of my track record because of those things.
Okay. You've mentioned housing being, one of the major issues facing Maricopa County, the state, the entire nation mostly. We've seen a dramatic rise in homelessness in Arizona and Maricopa County. I want to just ask, what is your plan to proactively reduce homelessness and address this growing housing crisis that we're suffering through?
We are among the most expensive places to live, one of the most unaffordable places to be if you want to own a home. And those are just words, but we all can feel it. We all are feeling our pockets a little tighter here. And many of us who are lucky enough to have a home, understand that there are a lot of people that don't. And the homelessness issue isn't working for anybody. It certainly isn't working for the people who are actually homeless. And it's about working together. When I was on the Phoenix City Council, one of the things that I would do pretty regularly is I would invite elected officials from around the valley to join me to visit the Human Services campus, to visit different shelters, and see things from their lens as well. But I wanted them to see what was going on in downtown Phoenix. That was several years ago. Today, I will tell you, any mayor throughout this valley is seeing it up close and personal at this point. It is everywhere. Now, do we have what it takes to solve the issue? Look, it would be a campaign promise if I told you that I was going to solve the issue and everything would be, we'll have a perfect outcome. I will tell you, we will have our best opportunity, our best shot at solving the issue or moving the needle if we're working together. There were 91 cities and towns in the state of Arizona. I've always represented the city of Phoenix during my time there on the League of Cities and Towns, representing the city of Phoenix. So working with all of those mayors from across the state and across the valley. And I've always led with that regionalism. We have a better opportunity to solve these macro public policy issues like homelessness, like the housing issue, if we are actually able to work together. And Maricopa County Board of Supervisors should be doing exactly that. 24 of those 91 cities and towns are in Maricopa County. It is the fastest growing county in the nation. The fourth largest in the country. It's obviously the largest in the state. That growth is going to continue. 4.7 million people, and so that growth is going to continue. So how do we approach it? It's all relative, right? I mean, it's about moving our economy forward, making it an economy for everybody, and of course, maximizing our tax dollars. Leading with services, which I really believe in, giving an opportunity for people to get the job training that they need. The term is upskill, an opportunity to upskill into that new job that is going to allow them to provide for their families. Something that I really worked on with the city of Phoenix and something I will be launching when elected is Upskill Maricopa. I will be working with our higher education institutions, our private sector and nonprofits coming together for an opportunity to really provide that not just job training, but career development across the board, giving people an opportunity to find the best versions of themselves. And if we really take that responsibility seriously, that responsibility of attracting, retaining, and developing talent, jobs follow, high-paying jobs follow, again, that leads to a tax base. It allows us to, again, pay our own bills, pay down debt, and give people a chance to choose themselves in this economy.
Okay, I think I heard, about the education, additional job training. That can help somebody earn enough money to afford the kind of outrageous housing prices that we're dealing with here. But is there anything you as a county supervisor can do, with the power of zoning? Or you talked about, your alliances within the cities. The League of Cities and Towns was one of the major opponents of some of the reform that was gaining traction at the legislature that would have forced cities to allow more diverse types of housing in hopes that that will spur developers to build more affordable housing, which we haven't seen in the Valley for many years. So I guess there's a lot wrapped in that, but let me take it one piece at a time. What did you think about the push at the state capitol to essentially put some limitations around how cities can regulate zoning? Your experience both as a former, city council person and somebody, who is going to be a major voice if elected within the Valley and the League and, that world. So what did you think about the legislation?
Well, look, first of all, we need housing. We need more. We got to put people in homes, and we should be looking for ways to do just that. You mentioned my relationships or proximity with the League of Cities and Towns, and being a former Phoenix City Council member, I believe in local government, but never should that be translated as a rubber stamp for anybody. We need to continue to think outside the box and not just bringing government officials together, but bringing the private sector together, bringing the realtors together. This is our community, as I just pointed out. And as we continue to look at our growth here with Maricopa County, we have to think of really smart ways around our zoning and trying to figure out, how we're going to add more homes. People are coming, right? But especially as we attract more TSMCs, one of the big issues there will continue to be housing. And so, I will tell you this too. What I don't remember was Maricopa County being at the table when those conversations were being had at the legislature. I will be at the table. I will be bringing my constituency to the table. I think it's important. In fact, I think Maricopa County should be leading on this issue. I think it's important to again be that coalition builder and problem solver. And I wish I could tell you, Hank, that I had the answers today. I don't. What I will tell you is I would be that person who would be willing to convene the meetings and actually, turn the lights on and be the last person out of that meeting. We got to figure out a way to solve these issues, and also trying to figure out too. I mean, there's some of these bills that get passed or get heard. There are sometimes thousands of details. So just trying to figure out what exactly people disagree with. Again, starting from what we can all agree with. How about this? I think we all agree that we need more housing.
One of the fundamental, I guess, first disagreements on this issue is city housing reform from a state level, a wholesale forcing of cities to rethink the way that they've been zoning. Is that a solution to our problem? Because the cities will tell you no, this is not our fault. We have not created this problem. Essentially, this is a push by the developers to get their way. But a lot of people do think that there's some need to force cities to reform their zoning laws if we're going to make progress on building more. So I guess, I understand there's a lot of complicated issues going on here. You want to see the county to have a seat at the table. I think that's a big improvement. But the question that I have on behalf of voters is which side of the table?
Yeah, no, the side that's actually going to solve the problem.
Does that mean it should
Yeah,
have
no,
to?
no. Look, there's also a thing called local control as well, and
Sure.
that we need to respect. I've talked to many legislators who are quick to say it's about local control while they're pushing legislation down to cities and towns, and then they complain that the federal government is pushing policy down. Uh, so the only way we're going to get there, and the League of Cities and Towns, that is one example of a stakeholder that you can bring in, right? But someone needs to be doing the hard rock mining here of literally going door to door and meeting with, 24 cities and towns that are in Maricopa County and starting there, meeting with our legislators and our, statewide government officials. Maricopa County, like I said, it's the largest county in the state. I think there's a disconnect between the legislature and local government, and this is a perfect example of that. And I think, and so I will tell you that, you asked which side of the table. I want to provide the table. I don't think there is a table at this point. I think there's a miss, and so, like I said, I think we can all agree that we need more housing. And just as I sat there and worked out reforms for something as important and personal as pensions, bringing sides to the table to figure out our commonalities and then work from there, we can also move the needle on this issue as well. And I believe, given my background and my track record, I believe I could do that.
Okay. So I also want to touch on one major part of a county supervisor's job that was not a very major part up until recently, and that's elections and dealing with election fraud, claims of election fraud. I think I'm safe to assume that you believe that the 2020-2022 elections in Arizona, Maricopa County specifically, were free and fair. You can tell me if I'm wrong there, but I wanted to ask, how do you deal with those that don't believe that? And can you win them over? Should that be the goal? I want to hear a little bit about your thinking when it comes to those people who, if you win, will be yelling at you at nearly every board meeting during election season.
Look, I got to say, if we get into the business of winning everyone over, then we lose ourselves in the process. And despite multiple challenges, I believe we can all say now that the elections were accurate, and I am confident. You ask how, and I'm paraphrasing, how we communicate that, and my answer is respectfully. I don't believe in taking victory laps. I don't believe in pointing fingers. There were multiple challenges, and I will tell you that I truly believe I'm 100% confident in the election results in 2020 and 2022. I think it was absolutely unfair of what my friend and former colleague Bill Gates has gone through, and several others, and I mean many election volunteers and employees who are not named Bill Gates, who no one knows about, who reporters have never talked to, right? I mean, people just didn't deserve that. And so, how do we move forward with facts? So I think Maricopa County has done a really good job of putting a good number of facts online. I think we should never lose sight at, trying to make it better. And we should always, strive to do that, and invite as many people to the process as possible. I mean, when I was on the Phoenix City Council, I'm very proud to have led the effort for mail-in ballots. Every city of Phoenix resident who is a registered voter automatically gets a ballot for every city election, right? And they have that option in addition to voting in person, voting over several number of days. I want to bring not just that experience, but that attitude to the Maricopa County Board of Supervisors, because we should be inviting more people into this process. This is our democracy. This is how it works. And this is how we find the best of it.
That's interesting. Did the city start universal mail balloting while you were there?
So the universal balloting was going on for a while, but it was actually a question that I received in 2016. It was from the Arizona Republic, and it was after long lines, at the ballot box there for an election with Maricopa County. And I've always worked on elections at the city of Phoenix, and I was asked, what could the Maricopa County be doing? And that was a thought that I had, and I put that thought forward with the Phoenix City Council, and it was shortly after adopted, and it's still something that happens today. So today, every city of Phoenix resident who is a registered voter gets a ballot automatically for a City of Phoenix election. If City of Phoenix is its own voting jurisdiction. Now, Maricopa County is the second largest in the nation. There's a lot that I could learn here, right? But I certainly will be bringing my attitude of inviting more people to the table here, and to be part of the process, and to participate in our democracy.
Well, there's so much more that I want to get to here, but we are running out of time. So I want to run through a couple of questions that I think might give voters a good sense of who you are as a person, and where you stand on some of the major issues that are important to them. So if we can do these quickly, I think I know the answer to several of these, but I'd like to hear you say it and then kind of explain your thinking.
Sure.
But the first one is, do you support the Arizona Abortion Access Act?
I do. I absolutely stand with women in their freedom of choice and their reproductive rights. That discussion should not be had by two guys, and I know we're not having that type of a discussion. But I will tell you that I am voting and supporting Proposition 139. And unlike my opponent, I am very loud on that issue. You will not have to wonder where I stand on it.
How about Proposition 140? That's the Make Elections Fair Act, which would eliminate partisan primaries in favor of kind of an open primary system.
Yeah. Well, see, so I see the value in that, and that's something that I am still having conversations with really good friends of mine who I respect incredibly highly. People like Terry Goddard and Paul Johnson. I mean, these are people that I've looked up to for many, many years, and I see a lot of value in that. And I'm personally looking at the pros and cons. In other areas that have tried it and it didn't work so well, I mean, that's what I'm hearing. Again, it's something that I'm walking through myself personally here. I would not have a problem of letting you know where I stand before election day. Though I have no problem committing that to you.
Okay, but haven't made up your mind yet.
Right. Yeah.
Okay. How about Proposition 314? That was the legislative referral that would essentially make being a illegal immigrant in this state a statewide crime, and have local law enforcement enforcing those immigration laws.
In this race, I will tell you that I'm proud to be the only candidate endorsed by both police and fire, and I know that on this particular proposition, there are several police agencies that have still not endorsed it. It is an unfunded mandate. From everything that I can read, I will tell you this: the immigration system is broken. And I'm as frustrated as anyone else. I mean, as a firefighter, I can't tell you how many times we have had to reach for Narcan. There's a fentanyl crisis. It's heartbreaking when children find it or when teenagers knowingly are taking it, and you're going to another, overdose in a high school bathroom or something. I mean, look, you only have to go on one of those calls to want to make a difference. And I was incredibly disappointed when Congress blew it. Our own Senator Kirsten Sinema did a great job of trying very hard to bring those reforms to the table, which I think could have helped us. And I do believe it was the former president who did all he could to prevent that from even seeing the light of day. And that was unfortunate. I'm not convinced that this particular proposition solves those problems. This is an unfunded mandate. I mean, I want to be the person who gets Maricopa County out from under all of this oversight from the DOJ that was brought on by, a former sheriff from several years back. I believe we need more people on the streets, more officers. Our officers need to be, paid appropriately. They need the support that they need. We need to be bringing more technology in. We need to be funding our police service, not stretching them thin and putting these unfunded mandates on them that I think puts them at risk. So I do respect the frustration in which this was brought forth. There is a fentanyl crisis, like I said, and I think we're all very frustrated with the federal government. I'm not convinced that this proposition solves the problem.
Is that a no? You won't vote for it?
At this point, I'm going to tell you, and I'm reading through it now, and I've been reading through it, and I've been talking to my police officer friends and so on. I don't see myself voting for this because there's just too much missing out of it. Number one, how do we pay for it? I think we're putting our officers at risk here, and I think we're putting the public at risk. I think what we need to be doing is pushing the federal government to actually solve the problem, and not do what is politically expedient and continue to use this as a political football, which I'm absolutely convinced is what took place a few months ago when Congress decided not to hear this on the floor.
Okay, and I got one more proposition question for you. This one's a local. Proposition 479, the continuation of countywide half-cent sales tax to fund transportation. Will you be voting?
I'm absolutely voting for Proposition 479. What I want people to understand, and this helps Maricopa County in many ways, but this is infrastructure. We talked about housing in this Q&A. We talked about the homelessness issue. There's so many issues, and any world-class community is one that invests in education and infrastructure. This proposition continues to give us what we need to move forward, right? This is not an over and above, some package that is so extreme that we're going to do so much more with. And I talked about the growth of Maricopa County. This is going to allow us to continue along those lines of, our caring for our roads and bridges and infrastructure. So I am an absolute yes, and I'm hoping that that proposition certainly passes come November.
Okay. Cool. Well, we have gone past our allotted time, but
I
let's
appreciate it.
wind this down in an orderly fashion anyway. Is usually we'd go to some closing comments here on a debate, but I'll give you a few moments in case there's anything we didn't touch on, and there's unfortunately lots we didn't touch on that you want the voters to know about yourself or about your campaign. Take a few minutes to speak directly to them.
Well, Hank, thank you, and Clean Elections, thank you for providing this opportunity. I want you to know the first thing about me today is that I'm here. I showed up. This process is important to me. Asking for your vote is important to me. Reminding you of my service as a firefighter and as a city council member, I only bring it up to let you know that my vision is supported with a track record. I have always rolled up my sleeves to solve hard problems, and that's what we have in front of us. Now, I wish I could tell you on some of the questions that were asked a definitive yes or no, or use the most eloquent words to describe my feelings, in a 15-second answer. But what you're getting is a human being telling you that, I care very much about this community. I care very much about the responsibility, and I'm asking for your vote. We are 55 days away, I believe now, from election day. You'll have an early ballot, like 80% of our community. If you're in that 80%, you'll have an early ballot in less than a month. Please consider not just a vision, but track record. And also consider who showed up to me, who showed up to talk to you, who was not shaky on the question and on whether, I stand for a woman's reproductive freedoms, or how I feel about the housing or homelessness issue. I care about this responsibility. I'm asking for your vote. Please visit daniel4az.com. I'll get to every one of your questions. If you would like to reach out and send an email, or you can do that through the website as well. And thank you.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Valenzuela. We appreciate you taking the time to be here tonight. To all the voters who took the time to watch tonight's Q&A and inform yourselves ahead of the November 5th general election, thank you so much. And we encourage you to visit azcleanelections.gov for official, accurate voting information. Thanks again.